Jey Uso wins the Royal Rumble match. Yeet or no yeet?
And Charlotte Flair makes her Royal Rumble return, securing another Rumble victory.
It's time to roar around the ring. At Royal Rumble in Indianapolis, that dude Daryl Taylor back in studio, coming off the Rumble, and let's start.
I was in the Rumble.
Were you in the Rumble?
I
missed
got
you.
eliminated so fast.
Was it I Show Speed?
Well, he eliminated me.
To get to the Brown Breaker spot.
Actually, I was the only elimination that Joe Hendry had.
Damn, poor Joe, man. He had a good showing.
Great reception, though.
Great reception.
That
Eliminated you.
Eliminated me. Not an easy feat either.
That's a spot, man. Yeah. Let's start with the men's Royal Rumble match, and unpredictability in wrestling a lot of times is a good thing. The question is it a good thing this time around? Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble match, obviously going into it. I talked about it. The lineup was probably one of the greatest Royal Rumbles we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
The stories in it, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, John Cena's final run, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre. I mean, you can go on and on and on. Jey Uso comes away with the victory, main eventing WrestleMania, gets a title match at WrestleMania. Your reaction to this, do you feel like this is a disappointment? Because it feels like at best a 50-50 response overall.
I think it was a 50-50 response. It is a 50-50 response. I think it's one of those things where it's like watching a movie, and then when the movie's over, it's like someone asks you, what'd you think of the movie? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
Where do we go from here?
Like, because if you break down this Rumble, like so many other ones, but this one in particular, because it's recent, it was in comparison to a film, it was broken down like that. The first part of the Rumble, everything had a place. You had the luchadors start off, right?
Yes.
Penta and Rey.
Love that.
The whole story of Chad Gable coming in, not being able to contend with luchadors, right? Yes. That was that first part of the Rumble. Then you had Jacob Fatu have his showing in the middle part of the Rumble.
Yes.
Because and then you had that bleed into the bloodline thing because Roman comes in at number 16, which is, I'm like, we're doing this now?
Yeah.
Right? Then it was like, okay, now once he comes in, we're kicking off just star power left and right. And I'm like, okay, now we're getting it. So you had all the stories kind of flowing.
Yes.
Till we got to that point. Never once did anybody ever stop and think about how Jey Uso plays a part in any of this.
No.
So all the focus was on everything else but Jey Uso, which I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I love how in both Rumbles, Triple H was very strategic about who entered when.
Yeah.
Right? Even in the women's side, Chelsea Green was in trouble, and then Piper Niven comes out.
She was so great. She was such a highlight of that Rumble.
And then Penta and Rey, and then Chad Gable right after. That's not a mistake.
Penta's ovation he got. That crowd was with it.
Well, and Penta and Rey squaring off for the first couple minutes.
I think I had texted you. I'm like, just give this to me now.
Yes. I'm like, if Penta
but then
comes
they didn't let it happen. To your point about Triple H's booking, he didn't let that be like, okay, they're going to go back and forth for a while. It was like, no, we're going to put someone there to interrupt this. You got to wait for this now.
Yeah, for sure. And it's somebody that makes sense. It's Chad Gable, who, of course, the luchador thing. So it all made sense. Look, when it comes to Jey Uso and the stories within it, it's tough because you love Jey, right? Jey is so over. It's tough to hate this moment and him getting this moment. But then you look at the stories that could have been with someone else winning. The stories that were within it with Seth, with Punk, and Punk's never gotten the main event of WrestleMania. John Cena's final run, him coming down to the final two.
Yeah.
Right? Even Logan Paul, and I was worried when we got down to the final three that Logan Paul was going to win this thing.
That did have me shook a little bit. I'm like, please don't tell me they're going to do this.
And Logan Paul's been telling, here's the thing. I would argue that Logan Paul would have made more sense than Jey Uso because Logan Paul has been in the face of Gunther.
Versus who? Versus Gunther?
Yes. Logan Paul's been in the face of Gunther since they moved to Netflix. Here and there. He hasn't been around that much, but he was like the whole kickoff on Netflix, they kind of got in the face off. And then the Raw before the Rumble, they were kind of in the ring together and so on. Jey Uso, you love it for him. It's hard not to be happy. But then you look at what are we going to do with this? Because Jey Uso just challenged Gunther at Saturday night's main event and lost.
You just said something that kind of so you said Logan Paul would have made more sense if they went that route.
Yes.
You're doing that. You would be forcing Gunther to kind of be the face?
Yeah, and they've kind of somewhat been going like that way with Gunther. Not a typical baby face, but I'll take out whoever I need to.
So I'm gonna and so now speaking on the Jey Uso part of it, I'm gonna make a comparison to someone else that you're gonna probably be like, don't you dare do that, and just hear me out. Go ahead. On a higher level, if you give me Jey Uso versus Gunther, I feel like I'm watching Sammy versus Gunther at WrestleMania again.
Yeah.
Now, Jey Uso has more steam behind him.
Correct.
Than Sammy did then and now.
Right.
But I feel like we've seen it, we've visited that, we've hinted at it, whatever. We've actually had that match. I don't know. It's like if he pulls it off, it's like, oh, it's a feel-good moment, but I'm like, Yeah. But then it's like him and Cody doesn't really make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And that's where it's like, I go back to the fact, and I brought this up leading into the Rumble, and I'll bring it up now. WrestleMania is at the end of April. There's a lot of time. Yeah. Right? And we saw what they did when it comes to pivoting last year with WrestleMania. I don't know how you pivot away from Jey getting a title shot, but I have a hard time believing we're getting Jey Uso versus Gunther or Jey versus Cody. Right? Because we've seen Jey and Gunther in the IC title. We've seen them for the world title, and Jey straight up lost. Yeah. Why do I want to see it again at WrestleMania?
That was my first thought. And I'm thinking, okay, if he wins the Rumble, right? Okay, cool. So that's the reality we're in. Again, I'm not mad. Yeah. I just have questions. Right. Because it's like, okay, well, now we got to figure out with the Elimination Chamber what's going to happen but I feel like one of these title matches is going to end up being a multi-person match.
Yes. And I feel like it's Jey's.
Thank you. It's going to be the World Heavyweight title one. It's if Cena would have won this Rumble, which I started like when I saw, we're getting down to the last 5-6 people here, I'm thinking John Cena's going to win this thing. Right. If he does, I wouldn't mind it because Cena versus Cody is moneymaker.
For sure.
Now it gets into the question then of like, well, do you have Cena win the title? Because if you know what I mean, which he wouldn't have had to, but still. Anyway, once Jey won, I'm like, all right, fine. Because I am a fan of Jey Uso. But this one-on-one with Gunther is not going to be like, it's not going to hit the way you think it does. So I'm like,
even if Jey wins, it's not going to
one of these matches, and like to your point, it would more likely be the world title, World Heavyweight Championship. It has to be a multi-person match. Yes. So I'm thinking, who are the other people though?
Yeah, I mean, that's where you could get into, we have a few months to tell the story, and you make it a multi-person match, and it gets tricky. I'm not convinced that John Cena and Cody Rhodes is where they're going to go. I still lean
I don't think so now. I think that was only predicated on Cena won the Rumble. I thought they would go Cena Cody.
Because and the one thing I'll say is a lot of people, especially because it was John Cena that Jey Uso eliminated last, of course, his final run, people obviously are kind of upset about that because, Cena getting, it was his last Rumble. Yeah. I think this is for the better. John Cena comes out on that press conference, and this is a whole more serious side of John Cena. He's already declared for the Elimination Chamber.
Which I love,
He's already talked about, I'm done being the nice guy. I need to, this is not about, one final run, like one last hurrah, positive thinking, whatever. This is my last run. Yeah. And I love his line. What's best for business is me main eventing WrestleMania.
Yeah, if you're an athlete in any sport, and you know that, like, okay, let's say your body's not broken down. Yeah. But you said, look, I'm gonna call it after this season. What would any athlete in any football, basketball, hockey, whatever, what would your mindset be? How do you want to end your season, your final run? A championship.
Correct.
So why would you say, oh no, I'm happy just going to different towns and saying hi to Stu and shaking hands and selling? No, dude, I want a title. Yes. I want to end this. I want to cap this thing off as a winner.
And we know how great John Cena can be, not as a heel, but as like the serious promo guy, right?
He fires it up.
That's what we need to see. And guess what? He's not winning the Elimination Chamber.
No, but I think we're going to get that right now. You don't think so?
No. He is not winning the Elimination Chamber because that is only going to fuel him even more. He's got a whole year. He's not done at WrestleMania. We don't need to push this for him. I need to be in the top. He can get screwed by somebody at the Chamber, and he's going to target that motherfucker like no other come WrestleMania.
You think that's his Mania opponent?
Yes. And then we're going to get that different side of John Cena, that promo-filled, that fuel almost close to Dr.
Who do you think that would be? Just throwing it out there for you.
I was thinking Logan Paul before his little interaction with AJ at the Rumble. It looks like they could go AJ Styles, Logan Paul, but I wouldn't hate Logan Paul screwing Cena at the Chamber, and then that leads to a Cena match. But there's so many different names.
How would you feel? This is the first person that came to mind, just given where he's at, what he's said, how he's dealt with things over this past year and a half. Yeah. How would you feel about that being Drew McIntyre?
I knew you were going to say that, and I love that too.
Because I thought about that. I'm like, if there's anyone that can Cena's fine on the mic. There's no one he can't stand with. But Drew McIntyre is a special kind of opponent on the microphone.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, dude, How amazing would that build-up be to Drew McIntyre turning all his ire and frustration now on John Cena?
That's my thing. So you have Drew McIntyre screw Cena in the chamber, and then this little fire from Cena that we saw after the Rumble gets elevated after the chamber. And think again, you get close to Dr. Thugonomics Cena, right?
Dude, like bust when that out for WrestleMania. Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Again, we do not need to rush Cena into a world title.
No,
he can win it.
You got the whole summer to come up, and you can do this in the fall. You can do this like
he can win it at SummerSlam and have a 4-month run.
He can win this. He could win one at Survivor Series and then just drop it for his last match. That's
and we have a tournament to begin 2026.
Yeah, and that's how you do it. Yeah.
So pivoting to CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, those guys get eliminated.
Man.
And that segment outside the ring, and Seth stops
Seth
Roman,
losing his shit,
flipping off Paul Heyman, going at CM Punk. What do you make of all that?
I still want to know what this favor is.
Yes.
Because I'm like, does this all play a part into it? Are we getting a heel Seth Rollins now? Are we getting a in-between kind of conflict? Is he going to be heel by default because there's something now with him between the two of these guys?
Yes.
And I'm like, all right, they're all going to be in the chamber, right?
Yes.
I'm assuming this is where we're headed with this. I don't know. I love that, though.
I love that.
I love that I left this with more questions than answers.
Yes. And here's the thing. A lot of people went triple threat idea for WrestleMania, Roman, Punk, Seth. Watching all of this, I'm wondering, and especially because he wasn't there, is The Rock not going to be here for WrestleMania? Because The Rock, and I brought this up multiple times, showed up at Bad Blood and nothing came of that.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything at the Raw debut on Netflix, even though he was there.
Yeah.
He showed up on NXT and said, the same line from last year. Enjoy the ride that I'm about to take you on. And you're not taking us on any ride, sir.
Not yet.
Because we haven't seen you.
Not yet.
Right? So a lot of people assume Roman, Punk, Seth after what we saw at the Rumble. I love your idea in the sense of those guys in the chamber, and that's the story you tell. I still think we get Rock Roman at WrestleMania. I still think there's plenty of time. Rock could show up in Toronto at the chamber.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that can kick off that Rock Roman. I will repeat. WrestleMania is not till the end of April.
Right.
Even if he does not show up till the chamber, we still have a month and a half to build him and Roman.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I would get the ball rolling if he doesn't show up at the chamber. I'm thinking the night after.
Yeah.
The Monday, the Raw after the chamber. You gotta start that. You can't. If you don't start that at least a week or two after the fact.
Yes.
You might as well kind of leave it alone.
I do worry, and we do not give into the bullshit dirt sheets. Shout out to Michael Cole for calling out the reports on Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Dude, what a reaction she got.
What a reaction.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. I don't understand why people still try to report on wrestling like it's sports. No. Like, please stop and stop trying to spoil the show. Stop trying to act like you know what's going on behind the scenes.
Just run with the stories.
Run with the stories. But that being said, I will remind people, Roman Reigns, when he got that Ula Fala back, said that he wanted his ceremony January 27th, which was the final Raw before the Rumble. That did not happen.
No. Yeah.
And that was not mentioned. Right. I wonder if The Rock was supposed to be part of that, and I don't know why, but I wonder if we have lost The Rock for the road to WrestleMania.
I'm not willing to throw that towel in yet. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Now, if it comes, I hope I'm like not disappointed in that because I think a lot of us will be.
Sure.
But I don't think that we have. I don't know if there's any kind of scheduling where things have just been pushed back. But like to your point, you said we got a little time.
Yeah.
So if he's like, hey, I need about three weeks where I'm not gonna be able to do it. All right, cool. We'll just kind of shift plans. But it's like, what do you, again, with everything we saw post when all those guys got eliminated, right?
Yeah.
So what are we doing now?
Yeah.
Like that begs the question, did they do all that because The Rock doesn't fit into the plans anymore?
That's my thing. And I don't know that a Seth Punk Roman match, it just feels too convoluted.
But for what? Like to determine a number one contender?
Yeah, what do we do in this? Because
Punk I'm like, you
Seth,
lost the Rumble.
Yes.
And then if you have to do that match because neither of you won the chamber.
Yes.
Okay, well then I've lost interest at that point. Yeah.
Yes. Right? Because Roman and Rock are fighting over the Ula Fala. Right. Punk and Seth, we know the hatred. Heyman's favor to Punk has to involve him being a champion.
Yeah.
So that can't be the story in this triple threat.
We can't have Cody versus 7 guys.
That's my thing.
So like,
right. So as much as we get excited about Seth, Roman, and Punk in a story, and we can have that does not mean we're getting a triple threat match at Mania. That can happen sometime down the road.
Yeah.
At some point this year, one of them ends up with the title. Yeah, we can have that. I don't think that's a WrestleMania match. I am still convinced that Rock could show up and we have Rock Roman.
Yeah.
And I am still convinced that Punk and Rollins could be just having their WrestleMania match again. Now, I'm shocked that there's not going to be a title involved in that because unless Jey Uso goes after Cody Rhodes, which I don't envision that.
I don't really care to see that one.
No, I don't.
I know it's on the table because you can choose either, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't see that story.
Yeah.
The build up to it between him saying that now and then we have to work our way to WrestleMania for that match. I'm like, I don't really see.
Not that many surprises in the men's rumble. Joe Hendry and AJ Styles. Just about maybe Braun Strowman after what Fatu did to him.
Yeah, but that was more recent.
Yeah,
so it wasn't
but
like you
not
hadn't
many
seen him for months.
surprises. Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with it because I mean it's always cool to get surprises, right?
Yes.
But I'm fine with it in the sense that there was a lot going on in that men's rumble. And there was a lot of stories being told, kind of things being fleshed out. Plus, we had John Cena there, and it was like, even though we knew he was going to be there, it just kind of added some extra, like, this is awesome to the Rumble. So I didn't need it to be like, oh, here's Booker T. Oh, here's so-and-so. Oh, it's like, we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I said it going into the Rumble, I didn't care about the surprises. This was the first time in a Rumble. I compared it to the 2001 Rumble.
Okay.
Because this was the first time in a long time that I was not, usually you do the math of how many people have declared, okay, we can have this many surprises.
There's 5 spots open.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing that because I cared more about who I did know was in the match.
Yeah.
Because of how big the names were, how big the stories were. So the fact that we didn't get much surprises, we got the Joe Hendry pop, which we needed to at some point. We didn't get it last year.
Just cut you off real quick. I was half expecting Rob Van Dam's music to hit since he was already there.
He was in the crowd.
I was like,
he looks good.
He looks great. Well, he always keeps himself in great shape. I'm like, is he going to just like have the singlet on and just take the shirt off and jump in?
Him or
like,
Kurt.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, dude, Kurt. Oh, he's with his kid. You know.
Yeah, you stay here.
Great to see Kurt, though.
Looks someone. Can you watch my kid?
Can you watch my kid?
I just need to get in here real quick.
My lasting vision of Kurt Angle will always be him just coming out with a shield.
Yes.
Like the vest on.
Yep.
I'm like, he looked like the happiest like Make-A-Wish kid. It was the greatest moment. I was so happy for him.
Oh my God. Shout out to Kurt, man.
Yeah, shout out.
Love to
Love
see him
that
there.
guy. Yeah.
But I was okay with no surprises.
Yeah.
I don't think it needed it. We got the Joe Hendry pop. So I was okay with it. Now on the women's side, we got plenty of surprises.
Yeah.
But let's start with the winner, and that is the return of Charlotte Flair. She is the first ever 2-time Women's Royal Rumble winner. She will get a main event shot at WrestleMania. Is this another example of them forcing Charlotte into the title picture?
I don't want to necessarily say forcing. It just, for me personally, I'm not really at all interested in whatever this comes from, because when I think of her challenging Rhea, I'm like, okay, well, I've seen that at WrestleMania a couple times. Their second time around was much better. Yeah. Obviously, because it was fans, and I was there in person. But I'm like, okay, we've told that story for 2 different iterations of Rhea Ripley. Yes. We've seen it. All right. Then if I think about her calling out Tiffany Stratton, I'm like, okay, that's a little more interesting, but I don't want Tiffany Stratton to like have to do the job to Charlotte, because I feel like she's on the rise. Right. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, I know Charlotte's talented. She's probably one of the better women wrestlers in recent years there. But I'm looking at the women's roster, especially looking at that Rumble, and I'm like, kind of don't need her here. Right. Because there's so many people that like could have a really good match with Tiffany Stratton or Rhea that are already in this Rumble, not named Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch. Yeah. I'm with this. This was my prediction going in. And this one kind of felt obvious to me. That's where the Jey Uso thing quick. Predicted once she was announced? Once I saw the return package a couple weeks ago. I agree with that. I was like, oh, she's winning. Yes. Yeah. And that's where it's like with the Jey Uso thing real quick, I will appreciate the unpredictable choice winning. Because as much as we love the Rumble, we love surprises, and we want to convince ourselves that there's 6 different people that can win. More times than not, we have an idea who's going to win going into the Rumble. Or you get the thing where you're like, why is Orton winning it again? And why is Sheamus winning it? Or why, like we knew Cody was going to get it, right? Going into the finish. So as much as we love the Rumble and we can go, what about Punk? What about... We knew it was Cody, right? So that's where it's like, okay, I'll give kudos the unpredictability of Jey Uso. Charlotte Flair was a little more predictable, and I think it's the right call. I mean, yes, she's just coming back, but it's about who's champion right now. Okay. Rhea, she has a history with. I don't go that route. But Tiffany Stratton, to me, Charlotte Flair is the perfect
first big WrestleMania title match for a star like Tiffany Stratton. There's a lot of similarities between those two. Charlotte can play the heel to kind of push the babyface and Tiffany out of her, because I talked about that as well. It seems like she's struggling to be a babyface and realize, hey, these fans love you. You can be,
You're talking about Tiffany?
Yes.
Okay.
So Charlotte can kind of bring that out of her, because I think instantly Charlotte's the heel in that.
I was going to touch on that.
Right.
She would have to be, because we've seen in the past attempts at making Charlotte the babyface. They don't last very long.
No, they don't.
Like, it's just not her thing.
It's like Rick. She's a Flair. Come on, like
it's like if we had, it's exactly. Or it's like having like Roman go out there and just be like, all of a sudden he's smiling again, and he's like picking up babies and hugging them. It's like, that's not Roman Reigns.
No.
Like, what are we doing here?
So, and I think that's the perfect way to get the Tiffany babyface pop that they want for her as champion. And I agree with you. Tiffany goes over in that. But,
she'd have to.
But here's the thing, too. There was no build going into this Women's Rumble. There's no star. Like, if not Charlotte, then who?
Right.
Right? Because Liv just was in the world title picture. Naomi, I love Naomi. It's not. Well, it's just not there yet.
You bring up Naomi. One of the only stories, the few stories I can think of going into this Rumble, the Women's Rumble, is the one that we didn't get. There was no Jade Cargill.
Correct.
Because to me, I'm like, oh, she's going to show up again, and it's going to be like, oh, you're the odd girl out now. We're like tag team champs. What are you doing here? And like, but that never. Not to say it won't happen maybe this week, but it didn't happen. So.
Well, and then, so the surprises in the Women's Rumble: Roxanne Perez, Jordan Grace, Nikki Bella, Stephanie Vicor, Julia, Alexa Bliss, Trish Stratus. Which of those stand out to you? Because like you mentioned, Jade Cargill was not one of them.
As far as just being there?
Yeah.
Or like, you mean something meaningful?
Just either one.
It was cool to see like Trish there. I really liked her spot with Nia. I thought it was cool giving her that moment of like, she's still Trish, like she's still fighting. You know what I mean? Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Vicor, I think had a great showing.
Yeah.
I'm really excited as far as them being like the future of the main roster division. Jordan Grace, of course. She's officially.
They said she's in.
Yeah, because they were like, she's under our banner now. I'm like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
and that's a huge pickup. That
is one. So a couple. First off, Roxanne Perez being in the final two, hell yeah.
How long she went too? It was like over an hour. She made the new record.
That's how you make stars, and that's what you did with the Rumble. Even like in the men's, Penta lasting as long as he did. Like that's how you make stars, right? Like just the fact that they can say I lasted this long, that's a big deal. So
shout
Roxanne,
out to Penta.
Yeah,
he held up that corner for a while, and people were just going at it around him. He's sitting there like.
There was one part in that men's match where they were someone was staring him down. I think it was when Cena, Roman, and them, and I just saw someone's blue legs.
Yeah,
and I'm like, who is that? And I literally like thought I could look around the body on the TV, and I'm like.
You're going around the TV?
Yeah. And I'm like, and then finally I'm like, oh, it's Penta. He's still in the match.
Well, there was a spot that made me kind of laugh because he's sitting there and you just see him kind of like he's playing the part like I'm whatever. But then he just does this thing with his leg where he just like crosses his leg up. And I'm just like, oh, dude, get comfortable. Hey, hang on. You're all right.
You're still in the match.
He's like, look, I get paid by the hour, not the job, buddy.
Y'all do your thing. We're good.
Take your time. Checks in the cash.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, Roxanne Perez in the final two. I love it. Jordan Grace, you mentioned. That could be, because I was confused about this going in, and I will say, give me Jordan Grace and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. Oh, my God,
yes. Yes.
I thought, like, I had Charlotte winning it, and Jordan Grace was the only person that made me think, maybe.
When you think about, okay, Charlotte comes in this Rumble, because we all knew she was going to, I'm looking at the women there, I'm like, if we're not talking Nia, and we're not talking Becky, or I'm sorry, Bayley, who in this Rumble right now could take Charlotte Flair and throw her over?
Yep.
Jordan Grace.
Exactly. And she had a good showing.
Yeah.
Right? And again, we have a chamber. Give me Jordan Grace and Rhea Ripley.
Dude, two powerhouse women.
I mean, who else would go with Rhea, right? Like
at this point, because I'm like, well, we've beat this Liv thing to death already.
Correct.
Like we can't do that route anymore.
Yeah.
I have no desire to see Raquel Rodriguez go after her.
No.
Like I don't.
She's Liv's backup.
And I'm looking at the rest. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if this is a one-off for Alexa Bliss. I don't think we put her in a big feud, and it's too soon. There's no really.
I mean, Liv's the one that eliminated her because you got to watch out. Shout out to Alexa Bliss being back. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez
with that damn doll.
Yep. But, I mean, I'm waiting for that first interaction with the Wyatt Six, who we have not seen on SmackDown since they claimed.
That's immediately what I thought. I'm like, okay. And she said, like, she had like a Fiend thing on the
forever,
back. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, we gotta do something.
We gotta play that, right? Yeah. Her and Nikki Cross being a team again, within the Wyatt Six, because it seems like Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are going to the tag team division, which I have my feelings about with Liv dropping the world title and being dropped into the tag team division.
Yeah.
I still would have kept that title on
I feel
Liv.
like there's a slow dismantling of Judgment Day, and they're just like doing it.
I mean, you could do Judgment Day and Wyatt Six all together.
I mean, because
against each
JD
other.
McDonough isn't going to do anything for a moment.
I mean, man. And the fact that he finished that match.
Props to him, dude.
Shit.
But no,
and he took a knee to the back of the head, too, afterwards.
But about the Women's Rumble, like, I just have to say, stop trying to make me care about Nikki Bella.
Yes!
Please stop. One of the greatest of all time. No, she's not.
No, she is not.
No, she is not.
I will give so much credit.
She is not one of the greatest of all time.
I will give so much.
care.
I will give so much credit to the Bellas for the business that they are.
That's it.
Yes. They were never good in the ring.
They were not.
I only cared about maybe the Nikki Bella, Stephanie McMahon thing for a second, and that's it. So the fact that we got that at 30 and not AJ Lee.
I was just like, yeah, right? And I'm just like, when she came out, I'm like, oh, well, at least Trish Stratus is here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, Nikki
Bella.
No
Becky Lynch, really? AJ
no
Lee?
Becky
Where's
Lynch?
AJ Lee? She's chilling at home, like nothing?
I know.
Okay.
And AJ Lee, Liv Morgan, like, that would have been a great way to use Liv.
Like,
if
Cora
she's not in
Jade
the
can't
title
show
picture.
up?
Something. Give me. So she's doing a lot of work in TNA now with that deal, but I agree with you. Like, the Bellas to me have always been overrated. I respect the business that they are.
That's it. I mean, if people can give a shit about that, that's fine. Give me shit about it. I don't care. I'm going to stand on business. I do not care. Nikki Bella is not, nor ever has been with me, over or a big deal. Look, can't touch. Don't give her no damn contract she can sign.
Let's run the gauntlet of everything else that took place.
Let's do it.
In the world of wrestling, specifically in Royal Rumble, Cody Rhodes beating Kevin Owens in that ladder match. Sami Zayn was out there, did not get involved.
Which I liked.
Your reaction?
Okay, so that aspect of it, I really, really like that, because I was like, oh, he's here. They're going to make it do the whole spot where I got to choose. Yeah. I'm holding a chair. Who am I going to hit? No, he was just there as like, I'm the supportive friend to both of you, and I don't want either of you to get hurt. But now that you both are, I'm very concerned.
Yes.
That match was fucking brutal.
Yes.
And I loved it. Just the way it ended. Kevin Owens stayed in that position.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think you text me, you're like,
he's dead.
He's dead. And I was like, this is the one time you need Jerry Lawler to be like, that's it, he's dead.
He's dead.
Like, just that one line.
Yep.
Because this man was literally just head through the rung of a ladder.
Yes.
Just upside down with blood on the ladder. I'm like, he's fucking dead. Cody killed the guy.
Yeah. They mentioned Kevin Owens was talking to Mick Foley earlier on in the day. I see why.
Mick probably told him, it'd be funny if you just knew what you could do. Major
credit to Kevin Owens. I thought Kevin Owens could go over here.
Yeah.
I did find myself yelling for Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big deal to take the title off Cody.
It would have convoluted where you could have went for WrestleMania if Kevin Owens had won this championship.
Correct.
Because I'm like, so does he win it and then just drop it right back at like a Saturday Night's
Well,
main
because you're
event?
waiting for Randy Orton to come back. So then, like, at what point do you put the title back on Cody? Because you still envision Cody being champion going into Mania.
But this match, dude, oh my gosh. Anything you wanted as far as, and I love that they did that. They didn't start off with, we're going to do 10 minutes of just regular in-ring. No, they went straight to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to also push my heel Sami Zayn agenda.
Okay.
Continue to, because between Cody Rhodes celebrating over Kevin Owens' body with Sami Zayn right there, and then also... Keep in mind, Sami Zayn accidentally got eliminated from the Rumble by Jey Uso.
Yes.
I think those are two things that can continue to push a Sami Zayn heel turn.
Kevin Owens to be like, your friends have turned on you, see?
Look at this. Yeah. Look at this.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Where were they when you needed help?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and also shout out to KO with the selling, because I genuinely thought he was...
The shirt.
Yep.
Was it son of a Canadian Dream, the son of a systems security analyst or technician? I'm like, this is so good.
Let's go.
This guy's character is his t-shirts.
Love it. Street Profits attacking DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns. This after helping DIY retain.
I was confused.
Yeah.
By what was going on. I'm like, is it just me? Am I like slow to take on what's happening here? But it's just like, I saw Dawkins and like, I'm like, okay, what's happening?
Yeah.
Why did you hit him? Now you're attacking them. I'm like, and they kind of explained it. Oh, because the Street Profits want to beat them for the titles. I'm like, well then why? Okay, sure.
Yeah, they're pushing that. It was a stretch. I appreciate this version of the Street Profits. I just want to see gold on them.
Yeah.
Right?
This version with gold.
Yes,
yeah.
Because we started to see it with Bobby Lashley and they never went there, and they had shots at it and they never won it. And now, with B-Fab in their corner and now they're healthy again, and they could like that. I like the serious side of them. Yeah. Put gold on them so I can care.
The money here if you're talking about the teams involved, does this the money with this feud and the money with the tag titles going on as far as big match goes, in my estimation, has nothing to do with DIY.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the Motor City Machine Guns, and I'm not just saying this because we're in the Detroit area. Yeah. I'm saying as a team, as they've been for years now, I think they're a more exciting team.
Yeah.
I think the crowd really gets more into them as they've been in WWE now. The crowd's starting to take to them more. You put that team, just straight up baby faces, against who the Street Profits are now.
Yeah.
I don't see any room for DIY unless they're in a triple threat match or something like that.
Yeah, and they might go that route.
They're the weaker link
I also
of this
don't force a
feud.
ladder match. We saw that last year.
We just had this ladder match
Correct.
on the Rumble. Like, I don't need another. Like, if you're not going to do one until WrestleMania, fine. But like, I think they're the team where people are like, we could just have these other two teams. We don't really need you.
I'm with you on that. I think this story could be told, but you just made DIY heel, so I feel like they're going to keep them around.
Yeah. Well, at this point, you're kind of committed to it. Yeah.
Triple threat. I'm not mad at that.
I enjoy their in-ring work. I just think they're the least interesting of the teams.
Sure. Let's get some AEW things before we get out of here. First off, Adam Copeland challenging Jon Moxley for a title match at Revolution. Yeah. This whole storyline with the Death Riders has been very criticized over and over again. Is there any saving it at this point? And if so, what is it?
I don't even know at this point. I think at this point, I'm almost like you just give the title to Copeland and we just end this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just implode with infighting in the group.
Yeah.
Because he said a lot of truth in that promo. It got very shootish. Like, dude, like I've been saying that. Why are you not promoting? Why don't you feature your championship now that you're streaming on this like big, widely subscribed to service? Oh, we have a champion. We just never see his title.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep.
And then like, what's your agenda? What's your actual thing you're trying to accomplish?
Right.
Yeah. We just attack people.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Exactly.
I'm like, hey, let's just move on from the story. It's a dead story then.
And we got 6 different stories. You're trying to convince me that Jeff Jarrett wants to be a world champion, but then loses.
Which I'm like, I feel like, you've brought this up before. They don't do this one at a time thing. Like, I know it's okay to have multiple people saying, hey, I want a title shot. I want a title shot. Fine. Yeah. We see that in WWE. But it's almost like they'll have, let's say you take Darby Allin, wherever, and be like, and then Copeland or Cope. And then if we want to, we'll just say throw Jeff Jarrett in the mix. Okay, let's say we had a story going for like 3-4 weeks, whatever, with those guys each talking about a title shot.
Yeah.
Then out of left field, it's like, we're going to have Mox defend against someone's. It's like, why are we doing this?
Hobbs.
It's like, okay, has Hobbs been in this whole thing? Or is it just, he won a match last week. Now he's the championship contender. I'm like, okay.
I think at this point of it all, the easiest fix, Revolution, I don't care who wins this match. Yeah. Christian Cage cashes in that contract, put that title on him, and let's tell that story going into the summer.
And we just focus on that.
Yes.
Move on.
Let's just move on from this and tell that story going into the summer.
Because at this point, I would be so much more interested in following just Copeland versus Christian with that title involved versus whatever the Death Riders thing is.
On the women's side of things, Timeless Toni Storm is back and to challenge Mariah May. Do you like them breaking Toni Storm back into this Timeless character?
I guess I might have I think you should have just stuck with where you went with it, with her coming back as regular Toni Storm, because it's like, okay, so we're going to rehash something, which it did work for its time.
Yes.
But then you bring her back and everyone's like hype. Oh, it's Toni Storm. And it's like, never mind. We're going back to, it's like, okay, we told this story though.
Yes. And that's what I'm worried about. It's like, okay, we told this story. I don't see her beating Mariah May. So we're telling I'm with it. I love this segment where she actually broke back into the character because she is great at playing that character.
Oh, she was fantastic. Yeah.
But when it comes to telling this story just for her to lose is where I'm like, okay, you're going to lose me by Grand Slam. Like, I'm with it now. You're going to lose me by Grand Slam.
And you don't see any follow-up with that.
That's the problem.
It's not like John Cena's in the Rumble, and he didn't win the Rumble, so now we're just going to forget about him. It's like, no, there's a lot we can do. Yep. With this, though, it's like with Timeless Toni Storm, it's like if she doesn't win the title, does she still just go around being Timeless Toni Storm? Like,
and that's the thing.
Is she going to fall into a better feud?
There's a good chance she's going to fall off, and we're going to forget about this. And then
come back as regular Toni Storm?
Right.
And then we're just going to be like, then why did you even do that?
And then snap back into Timeless, because she's that good of an actress.
Because we're just going to be stuck in a loop of timeless time with her character.
Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega alliance, they're going to team up against Fletcher and Takeshita. Do you like this route with Kenny Omega?
I like it for Fletcher and Takeshita in the sense of, like, you want to have your most tippy top guys giving a shine to guys you're trying to feature, which I think is always great when it's kind of your homegrown talent, or at least a talent that's homegrown with your company on a wider level, because eventually we know that we can get to the Omega Ospreay thing.
Yes.
It's gonna happen. I mean, if handled, we say that, but we're talking AEW.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can look at that and be like, okay, well, we've seen that a lot in wrestling. We've seen guys team up where it's like you're the biggest names in the company, and you're teaming up because whatever, common enemies. But we're going to get back to your one-on-one feud eventually, and that's the money match.
Yeah, I love this. To me, this is your world title feud. You could put a world title on Ospreay, and this could be your world title story. A lot more interesting than the Death Riders. Your biggest names, your up-and-coming stars, like you mentioned. I also love this for the sake of we're kind of giving a break between Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. They had that face-off. We expect that match at some point. But hey, we're not rushing into a match in AEW. Let's go.
Hold on, don't say that out loud because
I know.
Because Tony Khan might be like, wait, are we taking too much time?
I have a mic in front of my face, so we may, next week on Dynamite.
We have to do it because WWE is going to put Evolve on Wednesday nights now. We got to.
Yep. Next week on Dynamite.
We got to do these matches now. Next week on Dynamite, we're doing all the main events.
I love this story, though. This feels like your world title story. I love it for Fletcher and Takeshita, like you mentioned. And again, the Ospreay Omega thing, you can get there, you don't, right? Yeah. Like, we've seen it before, but it's always interesting.
I love that you said it's more interesting than the Death Riders because I almost feel like this Death Rider storyline is holding hostage all the good stuff that can happen with a world title. It's like, can we just get rid of this now? There's a lot of good
potential on that roster, man.
We got all these people running around that could have great title feuds with that belt, and you're just kind of holding it.
Yep. And then lastly, Hurt Syndicate, your tag team champions. Do you like them getting gold? Do you feel like we still need another member? How do you feel about this group?
I feel like they could use another member. But who that is at this point, I don't know now.
Yeah.
The private party thing wasn't really working like I thought it would. I know I like the fact that they tried to feature them as like, here's our tag champs.
Yeah.
They're the new young team, but I just don't think it was really getting over.
Yeah.
The way it should have. And so it's like, okay, well in this case, we'll go to the old reliable, and they got some name cachet. They're the Hills. We can put them. This is how we can build a tag team going against them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And private party. Yeah, that's not it. Right? Not for the tag division. I'll always remind people how good this tag division was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And now, for Private Party to be the champions, it felt like a downgrade. Hurt Syndicate, obviously, much more known names, much more over. I think you hold off on another member for right now. Maybe a heel Ricochet down the line, but I would, wait for that.
A heel Ricochet.
Yeah, heel Ricochet, right? Let him tell his story with Swerve. The connection with Swerve and Lashley is there. Now Swerve and Ricochet. That can happen down the line. But, I mean, this group, it took a minute for them to actually make them look as legit as they are. Yeah. Putting gold on them is always a good idea. So I'm with it. I'm out against this one bit. Keep the titles on them for a minute. We don't need to rush to another member, though. I don't think so.
Jeff Jarrett's going to be another member.
Oh, man.
Just because that visual in my mind, and we're talking. I wanted to go back to the Royal Rumble real quick.
Go ahead.
You can cut this part if it goes too long, Will. It's fine. But I laughed my ass off when it was. I think it was Lash Legend and Bianca Belair.
Oh yeah.
And then like Chelsea gets in the middle, she's like trying to high five, and they're all looking at her like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Who the fuck is this bitch?
And she's just like, oh, I get it. It's because I'm Canadian.
Yeah. Shout out to Christian, bro.
I see what's happening here, guys.
I love it.
I'm the only Canadian.
I see how it is. Shout out to Christian and the rap, man. That's amazing. Yeah. Great callback. Roar Around the Ring is available every week. Find us on YouTube at Roar Around the Ring. He's at Dude the Real Dale Taylor. I'm Justin Valentine. Talk to you guys very soon.